machine is vibrating too much because it is not in a proper condition. Okay, because maybe these machines, the alignment, the way the parts of the machine has been assembled, in short, that is what we are saying. Then another way is regular controls, maintenance rather, sorry, and also just implementing other standards that might be available or that might be coming with the menu of the machine. So this is how we can control these vibrations in a workplace. Then we talked about ergonomic hazards to say these ergonomic hazards rather is just the study on how to design and arrange things so that we can reduce stress and discomforts. So I won't talk much about ergonomic hazards, since we know to say when we say about ergonomic hazards, we know what we are referring. So the goal of this, it is just to create a comfortable and also an effective working environment by reducing the risk that may come as a result of performances. So these performances could be you working on your laptops, you may be seated on that chair, and also just how these machines are aligned. Okay, so we don't want to have a machine that will enable maybe a worker to stretch much or maybe to bend too much. They'll come and cause some of the complications that we usually know, a lot of those complications. So for example, I'll refer to Food and Safety Act of 2010, which says that there is a maximum height, okay, and also there is a maximum weight of load that a worker is supposed to lift. Anyone who remembers to say what is the maximum height or the maximum load that an employee should carry in a workplace? If they are carrying anything, a substance, could be a bag or whatever. Anyone who remembers what is the maximum load in terms of kgs? Okay, so if no one can remember, then we'll look at that. We'll come to that the day that we'll be looking at some of these uh, laws in these. I mean, in the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Okay, so you need to understand to say that is the main goal of economics, because it considers factors such as maybe posture, movement, body mechanics, and also it just talks about how the human or maybe how the design of the workplace should fit the human needs, right? So if your chair is too short, you need to fit it in a way. So if you look at some of these designs, especially let's say office chairs, they are designed in a way that it fits your height, right? So you can adjust it and something like that. So this has been an integrated part of an occupational health and safety. We want even the people that are engineering such kind of furnitures or maybe such kind of equipment, they should leave room for people with different abilities to fit their needs. Remember, when we talk about constructing, when we go to building construction, when we talk about how a building should be built, we said what? It should be built in a such a way that it fits, especially public buildings, they fit human needs. And you consider factors such as those that maybe will move on what? Wheelchairs, those maybe who cannot maybe go up the stairs. And this is now, we have this kind of things where also you're gonna find that this structure will be designed in a such a way that everyone is catered for. So this is what also occupational health and safety, especially the OHSA, okay, it states that in any or every machine, it should fit human needs. So that's where the aspect of ergonomics comes about. So how do we reduce these ergonomic hazards? It is to look into it that any design, including from, starting from lighting itself. We said we don't want people to stress their what eyes, or maybe let's say to strain their what eyes. So all those kind of things. We don't want you to put machines nearby so that people they cannot move or bend nicely or maybe easily. So all those kind of things we need to take into consideration so that we reduce these ergonomic hazards. Okay, so we need to understand that this one, it will look at maybe musculoskeletal system because it's going to have an impact on that. On the nervous system, it will have the impact on that. So all those kind of things, they should be considered when we're designing any workplace. Any question? So those are what I wanted to say. So why are we focusing much on physical hazards? Because these are always hazards that we're going to see either working in a hospital, or you are working in other environments. Always physical hazards and economic hazards will be there. Chemical hazards, ideally, under chemical hazards, this is just by you identifying to say what practices are we doing here? What are the procedures? What is this company for example? All right. So if the company, let's say, produces ammonia, so I'll give an example of Kafue. What is it called? Kafue nitrate. Yeah, something like that. So when you go there, there are what? There are equipments, there are different things, there are different materials, and amongst those, when they start producing that ammonia it's a chemical, so you look at into that, or nitrate, rather, or maybe let's say an industry that is producing fertilizer. So you need to just take caution to say this chemical that they are using, or this chemical that they are producing, what is its target organ? Remember, we talked about at factors that affects what's this the toxic amount. I've just forgotten how we used to call this in toxicology. Anyone who can remember about it, toxicology? Okay, so in short, what I'm trying to say is, for a chemical, we consider factors such as its route of entry. Okay, so what is it that the route of entry for these chemicals? Remember, other chemicals will be through inhalation. Other chemicals will be through maybe absorption on the skin, right? Other will be maybe through ingestion. So could be other chemicals can fall on your skin, but nothing will happen. So we are trying to when we're doing an assessment, if we've identified to say this is an ammonium, okay, this is ammonia nitrate, or this company produces fertilizer, for example, we have already identified the chemical hazard. And when we do a comprehensive assessment on that, we are trying to characterize the likelihood, what is its effect on the body, which part of the body does it affect, and what is the route of entry. That is what it is involved in a risk assessment. So now that we've done a risk assessment, we've known to say this chemical it is affecting this organ, and how is it going into this organ? It is maybe through the nose. All right, so we would want to make sure that in our risk management we put in these issues of heavy, let's say maybe respirators. If it is about if maybe it affects the skin, or maybe it's through the absorption of the skin, would want to make sure that workers are given special coverings. So just like that, if maybe it affects the liver or maybe the intestine would want to make sure that workers, they don't swallow anything of that. So that is what we are going just to have based on a chemical hazard. So you look at also its toxicity, the levels by which you can have an effect. So remember, we'll in environmental health science, we learned about the aspect of um, biomagnification, right? Yeah, bioaccumulation, all these things when you're doing a risk assessment when it comes to a chemical hazard, you put into play all these kind of things. So there are chemicals that will accumulate, chemicals that will biomagnify, all right? It is not always that you're going to see the effect there and then. So the moment workers are exposed without proper interventions, then the more these chemicals that are accumulating. So the moment that these chemicals will reach a level where now its effects can be seen, then that's when now we'll know to say, okay, this is how it is. So it's very important to study these chemicals, to understand these chemicals, the route of exposure, the toxicity, okay. If these chemicals are they biomagnified, so they are chemicals that when they enter, they become even more worse. We've got those terms that we used in our environmental science, where we talked about antagonistic, agonistics, chemicals that will, when maybe let's say they react with a certain chemical in your body, and this is the effect. All those kind of things to do with cancer, cancerogenic. So you need to understand the chemical itself. So that is what it is just going to entail when it comes to managing a chemical hazard. It's about identifying it, identify its effect, and identify what will this chemical cause. Okay, and the exposure is very important, and the time of exposure. Similarly, this can be attributed to the fact of radiations. Okay, similarly, even the radiations, you are looking at the exposure time to radiation. You are also looking, so for radiation, it doesn't matter any type of radiation, but you need to understand the ionizing, non-ionizing. So for radiation, it will affect your cells, your body cells. Some of these radiation, they make someone to become maybe stellar, like the cells, the genetics, they just destroy that disorder. This is why you find that even doing much of these scans and x-rays, it is not recommended in a short period of time, because every time you are exposed to higher amount of radiation, you are putting yourself at risk. So that is also how we manage this radiation. So we need to put in interventions. So I think some of you should take interest in learning about radiation as an occupational health and safety officer. Maybe major into radiation safety and something like that, and see how it will take you. So ideally, if you go at UTH and go to the radiology department, you're going to find that these professionals, they are given a certain kind of device that they put on, all right. And this device, it measures the amount of radiation they are exposed to. Every time they enter that, it counts the amount of radiation. So every week they submit those devices, and they calculate how much radiations they have been exposed to. So there is a certain amount of radiation. When it reaches a certain amount, they are given off days to say they shouldn't work maybe for 1 month or 2 months. That is how we are managing. So you see, some of these professionals are good, but with limited time. So anyway, it is what it is. Some of you will be working in these stations, and you will also be given those kind of things. That, it doesn't matter. It's about where you work. At the end of the day. So in as much as you're protecting those workers, it is your duty also to protect yourself. Like they used to tell us to say, the time that we're doing a corollary response, singaoneke muchitangira HT uko to say Mwatwarakolera. So as much as you are guys fighting for this, make sure that safety is observed in all kinds. So there are people that intend to feel to say just because they are doing inspection, then they cannot put on this. Even amongst ourselves, when we used to go to school and do my inspection, some of you have been even in council doing attachments or hospitals. There are certain things that you never even want. Even sometimes you've seen even these senior inspectors, they'll go, they'll just be there in their suit because they don't want maybe to put on a lab coat and something like that. So when you're working in this kind of scenarios, it is not always that not okay. What I'm trying to put across is that let us advise one another. Safety is the key. Okay, so we need to put in such kind of measures at all times. So that is what I just wanted to share on these these hazards. Yeah, biological hazards. Mostly we know where we can find these biological hazards, cross contaminations in food, cross contaminations in the hospital. So there should be a proper exposure. So some of you're going to be asked such kind of questions. So does it mean that a hospital is only just limited to biological hazard? The answer is no. Even chemical hazards are there, right? So even physical hazards are there. So just be good at identifying these hazards. Not to say this is a biological hazard and this is how someone can get sick or can get infected. Even just a workplace like maybe mine, where we expect to have more physical hazards, but you find to say they have got an occupational disease, and if we are to investigate, you find that people are getting sick of things that will say, okay, they are exposed to a biological hazard, such as STIs, for example, and other things. When we look at environmental impact assessment, we're going to talk about some of these impacts, like direct impacts, indirect impacts, and synergistic impacts, and we're going to understand how a workplace would also put resident at a risk of maybe contracting a certain disease. We've seen to say in some professionals there's a disease that will be most common. Ideally, there's a rumor to say people of the army, for example, there's a common disease that is amongst themselves, and these diseases will include STIs, for example. Why? So it's like their occupational health. So in as much as it is in the army, you are working in the army as an occupational health and safety, you want also to put in and to do sensitization across, so that at least we shouldn't have this kind of problems. Okay. So look at how do we sorry, let us look at accident investigation as of many focus today, or as the major component of occupational health and safety. So had it been for these, so how do we come up with these measures? It's which are investigating. Is able to see my screen? Oh,
Myself, I can't see the screen.
all right. Okay. Kindly.
I can see it.
Okay. Kindly do this. The person who is not able to see the screen, kindly do this. Leave the class and join again. You'll find the screen on. But also in the data, you'll find this. Started. Okay, I believe you now you are seeing the screen, right? Every one of you are seeing the screen. All right. So let's look at accident investigations and reporting. So we'll start by saying we should know before we can even investigate an accident. We should able to know uh, factors or what causes accidents in a workplace. So number one, we are saying human activities, and this would be distraction, lack of attention, fatigue, stress, alcohol, and drug impairment, as well as reckless behavior. So I'll talk about reckless behavior. Okay, so reckless behavior, these are just behaviors that you would find some workers or maybe some employees doing. So there will be maybe amongst these reckless behavior could be smoking is a reckless behavior, for example. So anyway, we're talking about alcohol and drug impairments. So you cannot come, or maybe you cannot be working while less drinking. So we want to ensure that people they don't have these things uh, in their work environment. So ideally, smoking is not allowed in the food premise, right? But does it mean to say it is allowed in other working environment? The answer is no, right? Despite that, but what is the common practices nowadays? You find that our bosses or workers will always smoke at the work. So the time that I was doing my data collection during my research, I was looking on food practices, hygiene practices, and one thing that interests my study was that I never looked at the CAP study, meaning knowledge, attitudes, and practices. No, okay. So my study objective were more capturing. So I was looking at how they store the raw materials, how they store the left overs, of course, and maybe how they just store the food. And I was looking at ready to eat foods only, and my study wasn't based in these, maybe let's say, restaurants. It was based in fast food setup, or maybe ready to eat food setup. Then another thing was I was also looking at some other just practices, okay, hygiene practices in common. So like I said, I had the questionnaire, I had also a checklist, which I've been emphasizing to say as as a profession or an environmental health officer, you need to come up with a tool that will enable, okay, for you to conduct an investigation, for you to conduct an inspection, and for you to just maybe get data. So one of the tool that I'd put was a checklist, and the checklist is a very important tool that we should use. So if you have been asked that kind of question, a checklist shouldn't miss. Why? Because in a checklist we are going to put things that should be there according to the law and standards. We put in things. Then our duty, it is just to check, okay, do they have this, yes or no? Do they have this, yes or no? The presence of this, yes or no? That is the work of a of a checklist. So my study discovered that after giving out the questionnaire, people were having good practices. If I ask them to say, do you wash hands before touching food, they'll say yes. Do you put in do you have a PPE? They'll say yes. But the time that they were answering my questionnaire, I was also having a checklist, and I was observing what other food, or even the person who was answering my questionnaire, what they were doing. You like ask them, do you have a PPE? They've ticked yes, but right there they don't have even the airnet, they don't have the apron. So I was thinking no. So so the questionnaire contradicted, the checklist contradicted the questionnaire. So it's very important to have a checklist. So I was also, one thing that I discovered in my study was that these people, they smoke in a food setup, especially people like the Indians. You find they'll say no, no alcohol in this premise, but they are smoking in a food establishment, which is a bigger crime according to the food safety of 2019. So we need to put in all these kind of, know that all these kind of uh, reckless behavior will lead to an accident, stress. Okay, so give workers breaks, and a stress also can come as a result of economic hazard, fatigue. So fatigue, what will cause this fatigue? It's because of noise, maybe lack of concentration, as a result of these other physical hazards that will cause that. Again, fatigue will come in because you failed to put in proper administrative control measures, where you've given shifts, you like expose workers to only 8 hours of work, but people will want them to go beyond. So anything that is more than that, attention is lost. All right, and also distraction. So we don't want having workers shimikading panchito batekesha story yako nechitika mairo nindano naona kunda kawalala, something like that, right? So will lead to an accident. Another factor, the cause of accident, is environmental factors, and this would be weather, poor lighting, hazardous terrains or road conditions. So this will be pointing to, let's say, people that work with vehicles as their, as their occupational means. Inadequate signage and what warning. So we want to put in warning sign, indicate where there's an emergency exit, indicate where people they're supposed to put in or to do certain practices. So poor lighting, that's why yesterday we looked at lighting surveillance. All right, it's very important to do that. Weather conditions, so put in structures that will that they are going to outstand harsh conditions. For example, in built environment, we are going to look at what is the primary goal of built environment, or what is the primary goal of putting up a building or maybe a roof. Okay, so the primary goal will be what to to stand harsh conditions such as sun, rain, snow, and any other conditions that can come about. So another cause of accident could be equipment and machinery, and this could be poor maintenance. For example, I think then I also have a proposal, and I don't know how best we can implement this. I wanted us to okay, so the thing is this, guys, look at these public transport that we use. I'm telling you the truth, they are pathetic. So when police or RATSA, they are doing the inspection of these buses, they only focus on what? On two primary things, or maybe three things. They only focus on, do you have a driving license? And they focus on musonko. And especially for bus drivers, the policemen will focus on musonko and if he's putting on my uniform, the uniform. You'll notice to say, these people, when they see to say there's a roadblock, they'll start putting on the uniform right there and something like that, right? Most of you've noticed. But how many of you have gotten into public transport where even your feet, because you're tall, you can't sit nicely? Sometimes you find that the chairs, they have worn out. Okay, these metals are just exposed anyhow. The bus ukairangana pansi, even tamaki pamene mwakwera ioneka. How many of you have done that kind of an observation, or you've been in that kind of bus at once in your life? So now you can notice all those kind of all these conditions. So there was this time I was traveling to Kafiwe, then I was listening to a RATSA program. Okay, they're telling, advising these bus drivers, drivers, to put in, make sure that you've got musonko, make sure that the milazi shanshani. But then where is the healthy aspect? So these people, the enforcers of the law, the people that they own these buses, for example, or maybe these vehicles, they don't pay attention to the healthy, aspect of their passengers, even just the driver himself. What they focus on, it's about making money. Now you ask yourself, where do they take that money when they work? They don't do maintenance. So poor maintenance will cause accidents. So in as much as they focus on these other aspects, I want us to write up maybe a letter to the editor, or maybe come up with question them to say, why do they not having a department for safety, healthy safety in transport. So we should look at healthy safety in transport. No one is really talking about that in Zambia, so it was just my suggestion, my idea. So I don't know who we can fight with for this, so that we can open jobs under RATSA. You can have jobs under RATSA. So we need to be inspecting these buses. Okay, in as much as, so when you, let's say, at the roadblock, also inspect the healthy part of the bus. How are the chairs? How much the distance, the meters, the sofa. Okay, you are giving people to have musculoskeletal disorders. People are having economic hazards in this transport system. So let's look to it that we can create jobs under RATSA and any other departments that looks for transport. Are we able to do that? I want to hear your feedback. Okay, so I'll post this question in the group, then it will be free for the ideas. Let's see how best we can create jobs under that department. Or maybe I just don't know, I haven't done a comprehensive research. Maybe there's that department, because I don't see it. Why is it that every time in Makwela Sabe Mabasi Onongek? That's why I should just buy my own car, guys. What do you think? Hello, can I have a feedback on what do you think about the health aspect in terms of transport system? Hey, we can be talking conscious people that have left the class. Oh, sorry, anyone? Okay, guys, anyone, just to say we are following, because I'm not sure if you are in class or not.
We are following, and the health aspects have to be followed. That's true. The public transport is not good in Zambia.
All right. So I think let's put up something. I don't know how we can come up with that something. Remember here in Zambia, tina system ya so we will just talk about things to say civil buino hapa vintu, even like the president is not doing fine. We'll just talk about to say the president is not doing fine, but for us to write up something or letters or to go and complain to the people that do these things, okay, we don't do that. And when ni same na Panchito, we are going to complain about working conditions. So these workers, they will complain, now hey, let us protest. But the moment someone is going to, there to stand and say, we have come Shanshani, then wazafunsa. So who came up with this idea? Then everyone will be quiet. Manje mzafakira mu muchani muma pressure uja muntu ataya voice out. Then once that person voice out, then that person is sacked from job. Yeah, these things happen, right? So us as environmental health, our goal is to make sure that accidents don't happen. So when we are doing an inspection, let us also inspect the entire vehicle and also just label the vehicle to say not fit to be on the road. And because of this corruption, even you guys are corrupt, okay? Because even if we put this kind of okay, what I mean by you are corrupt, meaning that even our profession is full of corruption. So even if we put on this department, it will be just a way of us having work. But yes, with the mission to say we want to eliminate any health problem in transport system. But even you, when you go there, you check it on, you let that bus pass. And just because you are not there, or even if you will be like as Africa. So design and manufacturing defects, their causes malfunctioning. So machines will misbehave, and it is important to do irregular maintenance. We've been talking about that. Inadequate safety features of the machine. Organizational factors. So under organization factors now, this is where accidents are going to happen because of the ignorance from the management. All right, ignorance from the management. So how does this come about? It's because management will ignore certain reports. Yeah, will ignore certain reports. Will maybe feel, I don't know what you call custom chizungwai, maybe probably to purchase proper PPE. So here we're talking about inadequate training. Okay, people who don't want to sponsor a training. Okay, people who don't want to hire someone. For example, you guys are consultants, like I said. So if someone has got a pest control company, all right, then we see people opening pest control services, yet they are not trained in pest management. Well, I mean, we've seen people opening these cleaning companies, yet they don't want to consult from you guys, environmental health technicians, officers, or maybe occupational health officer. But to say maybe if we try to consult from Madam Natasha, we are going to be charged higher amount. Hence, we are having all these kind of accidents in a workplace. Remember, someone who has not been trained in pest control is getting those people and tell them, or maybe lead them, maybe let's say in their field, which is not okay. All right, so there should be adequate and right training. So the person who should give this training, they should be approved to say, okay, these are people that should do this training. So you find other departments, no, sorry, other institutions will send their people to the university, or maybe to sponsor them for short courses. So if let's say there's a certain body or certain institution, they are offering maybe hazard identification and control measures certificates. So you're going to find that some of these companies will sponsor their team. Like the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2016 says that for every 50 workers, there should be at least 2 people that are trained in first aid. All right. So you'll find that some companies will really love that and will send their people to go and train for safety aid. For first aid training, which is okay. So accidents will happen because of organizational factors. Management's not paying attention. Management feeling castle to hire professionals. They cannot go and consult to the local authorities, for example, to the council, under maybe the department of maybe solid waste or pest control. They'll feel to say we're going to spend so much. Hence, because of their ignorant, we are going to have inadequate training, poor supervision, because how can you supervise things that you don't understand? Inadequate safety protocols, for example, procedures. There's a certain way that we should handle chemicals. Okay, insufficient resources or budget. So because of that, if we're having insufficient resources as the administration, then it will be hard for us to put in good measures that will prevent accidents in the workplace. Then we've got other factors. These are just natural disasters, which we have no control over. Over them, but we do have control over them. These natural disasters nowadays, they are happening because of what? Because of our behavior in the environment. Okay, emitting harsh fumes in the environment, waste all over, right? And just other acts that maybe causes the what we call nowadays we are experiencing what we know global warming. So it's because of our what? It's because of our nature. There is I learned about, is it not risk reduction equation? There's what we call it in, okay, I've forgotten. I'll put it in your group to say, okay, it's a theory that says whatever you do, it says that the way God, the way the environment was created. Let me not say God, because if I say God, maybe we've got others that are atheists here. So the way, yeah, but even if you're atheist, we can't hide the fact that anything, it has got a creator. So the way this environment was created, it was that it can deal with the waste. It's waste. Okay. So it's so like the banana comes from the environment. You eat the banana, you can throw the banana anywhere in the ground. There will be no problem. It will resurface. It will recycle itself. Okay, it will go back to the soil. But if, let's say, I'm having maybe, let's say, a fruit canner, then I finish, then I throw that plastic, it will stay there because it is what, non-bio degradable. So the way that this environment was created was that it is able to to deal with the waste. But the more the waste that you are producing, okay, so if you are producing the waste, and the more this environment it is trying the ways in which it can deal with the waste that you are generating, then this environment will react back. And now this reaction, it is what we are experiencing: earthquakes, global warming, and all this kind. Harsh temperatures. Nga kwakava kulakava waste nga kwatalala. It's waste that people are even getting sick. It's because of the waste that we are doing. This. So acts of violence, for example, yeah, and it's a same thing that I've from talking about. Also, we do violate some certain environmental aspects. Okay, unforeseen events. So these will be just maybe unexpected equipment failure. All of a sudden, equipment, it was boom, yeah, bomuka. So analysis and classification of these hazards. So of these accidents. So accidents can be classified or analyzed based on its type or its nature. The nature of injury and the bodily location. So is it? So, for example, we've got eye injuries, for example. So, meaning that the injury is, it is located on the eyes. Okay. So, we're going to have maybe dermatitis. Okay. We're going to have, for example, maybe respiratory disorder, maybe loss of hearing. It's because of where the type of an accident. Type of an accident, we mean, is it minor? We learned about minor. Sorry, about the type. Okay, type, it could be in terms of physical, chemical, or those kind of things. Then in terms of nature, we also talking about minor. What do we have? We have minor, major, and what? It's only two. Anyway, let's see what the slide tell us. So classification, there I've got what to call, yeah, serious injuries. So after minor, so serious injuries. So we're saying that these incidents that results in severe injuries or fatalities. So if you've got an accident that will give you let's say severe injuries or fatalities, where you've got to have death or permanent loss of something, then that accident is classified as a serious accident. So example would include head-on collisions, falls from heights, especially this one is common in construction sites, industrial machinery accidents, of course, as the statement suggests to say industrial machinery accidents, electrocution, chemical exposure, major fires or explosion, natural disasters like earthquakes or hurricanes. All these will cause fatalities or severe injuries. Then we've got minor accidents. Minor accidents, we have got, we have minimal or no injuries. So an accident happened, but okay, we had maybe people maybe just complain to say it's this part or that part, and maybe no more, I mean there'll be even no let's say fatalities. So these examples could be slips or or trips without fall, right? We've got small cuts or scrubs, minor burns, which we call first degree. So we've got first degree, second degree, and third degree. So for third degree, that is more or less. Then we've got strains and sprains and strain. We've got small vehicle accidents, okay, near misses, so which is a close call. We usually hear those kind of terms. So we've got near accident. So near accident, also known as near misses or close calls, incidents that would have resulted in harm or damage but did not happen. All right. So it could be maybe someone will slip or maybe strip but they don't fall, a tool or equipment malfunctioning but doesn't cause injury, a vehicle almost hit maybe a pedestrian or another vehicle, a chemical spill that is contained before causing harm. So if you look at pestology, those of you that did pestology, you've been told on how to contain spills, okay, of chemicals. Now imagine someone who is doing that supervision hasn't been trained that. So that's why we're saying human factors or administrative will cause accidents. So a worker almost fall from a height but is caught by a safety harness, or maybe harnesses, or maybe belts in short. So consideration to prevent accidents. So what are the considerations? These are your answers. So like I said, Koja, you'll be asked these questions. They are going to ask you questions as if though they are consulting from you. So that is how it is going to happen. Questions will be asked in terms of consultative way. So what can you do? What are the considerations for you to? So how do you prevent accidents in a workplace? Number one, factory design or layout. So if you see that picture, for example, okay, it just gives us what we're trying to talk about. So this is what we call even good housekeeping. All right, we don't want to find papa sapato, for example, hapo chibagi chake pipi. This is why we need, in a workplace, we need to have what we call lockers or change room. All right, we don't asia kibagi chake hapa or you asia those tools. When like you get this machine or that tools, make sure that they are taken back to the normal or maybe to to where you store the tools. All right, so there's what we call good housekeeping. So factory design and layout will refer to the planning and organization of manufacturing facility to maximize efficiency, productivity, and safety. So the way you arrange certain things like machines and procedures, how. So sometimes some of these they are going even to show you the what arrows, or to say when you are done from this, you go to this. When you are done to this, go to that and do all those kind of things. So it's good to put in a good design and layout. Machine guards. So machine guards, these are just protective measures or devices that are used to prevent injuries, accidents, or caused by a machine, okay, in a workplace. So these are things like what we call fixed guards or interlock. So kama katikati machine ine yake, whenever the machine wants to misbehave, it will it will lock itself. A simple example, even maybe I can give a simple example in our homes. We've got nowadays stoves or maybe electric kettles that will use what we call is it a thermostat, so when the water boils, then it just switched off itself, okay, when it reaches a certain temperature. So those are what we call machine guards, okay. That is just a basic or simple example that I can give for you guys to understand really what entails of machine guards. Because if the thermostat, we've got these kettles that you try to fix at your home, when the kettle thermostat kafa, you just do to my direct connection, then the water will continue boiling without turning itself. So it can cause fire in your house if you don't take care of that. So interlocks, these guards they shut off to the machine when open. So even this nowadays, the machine guards, they have also been even designed now in a motor vehicle. I'll give an example. I like always give a practical example in real life. For example, we've heard to say we've got cars nowadays that whenever they sense to say there's an accident, then it locks itself, and once it locks itself, then it produces some safety balloons so that whenever you turn about, you don't hit yourself and injure yourself. An example, early this year, for example, young Philos was involved in a road accident, and he had such kind of a car, okay, and it turned several times. The three people that were inside there, no one got injured. So those are kind of things that we are talking about when we talk about machine guards. Good order and good housekeeping. I've talked about that. We really need to put in practices of maintaining clean, organized, and safe working environment. Okay, make sure that things are in order. Tools are supposed to be where they should be. Even when you are doing a simple example could be a carpenter and Dani, make sure that how they put their tools, it is in order. We don't want you to step on muspikiri. I don't know what is muspikiri in English. Musomali. Oh yeah, in nail, right? We don't want to do that, right? Because of yourself being disorganized. So we don't want to do that. So ensure this in a workplace is happening at all time. So when you talk about workplace, guys, mukazigani na food safety, because some of you are going to be given a scenario in it. In terms of food premise, then you'll be like, so occupational health and safety applies in whatever field, whatever occupation. If you're owning a restaurant or even if you're mukabuthi, all right? So find ways on maintaining safety there, all right? So even in a food premise, leaving or maybe not attending to leftovers. People they have eat, then mwalanda tamambale tukasuka, they'll attract pests, right? They'll what attract rodents. So we don't want to do that. So this is what we say by saying good housekeeping. So it is not just referring to your house, you yourself, your house, no, all right? So the last consideration is the PPE. So if you look at the way I've outlined these considerations, I've outlined them in a way of a high lack of control. Okay, factory layout and design. So it begins by you first of all saying we want to set up a factory that will be making this. All right. So the design, the factory design. So the design will include even the structural design. Okay, the layout of the machines. Okay, so you can see how I've started this presentation. I've followed the high lack of control. Machine guards. Okay, this is now an engineering control. Good housekeeping. This is now something to do with what? With administrative control. Personal protective PPE. Something now to say it's a last resort. So we want to put in necessary PPE, safe goggles, hard hats or helmets, earmuffs, earplugs. So you should know what is the difference between earplugs and earmuffs. I'll look forward to know the difference with you. Dust mask or respirators, gloves, for example, high visibility vests or jackets, fire resistant clothes or suits. So these are some of things or stuffs that you are going to find per table. Like I told you, per table pa jam zaka pesa vintu vosiana. there will be the helmet, there will be the goggles, there will be different PPE. Then for me myself, I was asked pointing, okay, she was pointing at this, I mean, at those PPE to say, tell me where you can use this, in what conditions or in what kind of work environment. Then when I answer, she points out the respirators. Where can you use this, and what are you protecting it? I mean, from the safety boots. She pointed the safety boot, the meat inspection boots. She pointed at those, but those were in black. But I still went on. Kylie, some of us were saying, we've got that idea. Once our mind is glued to a certain thing, we cannot do what we call thinking outside the box. Some of us will only think to say, doing meat inspection, we need to wear white. You should know the reason why we are wearing white. That is a food premise. We wear white so that in case of a FIPA, we are able to tell, so that we don't do cross-contamination to those things. So even that's why our gun boots are white when you go there. But does it mean that you cannot wear any other color? You can wear, but it's just advisable for protection purposes. But in situations whereby that is what is there, what can you do? Wear them. Okay, it's a PPE. Okay, I mean, wear them, but we're just saying that brighter colors are the best. So that is one thing that you need to understand. So for me, they are black, but I mentioned to say I can use them for meat what inspection, right? Because probably I cannot use them in heavy industry. So if I'm working under ZAMBIF, I can use them, you know, in the food premise, I can use those, or maybe in an agricultural sector. So some of you, you'll be asked this question, you can't even think about of an agriculture sector, or maybe a company that is dealing in farming. You can't think about it because you'll be like, your focus will be in industries and council. No, okay, occupational, anywhere, even the bank. Think about the design of the bank. So think about what are the common hazards in a bank, for example. Okay, and that will give you ergonomics, as well as even physical hazards that you can see around. Okay, the ceilings, you look at the floor, look at the, you know, how are things, good housekeeping, all those kind of things, they apply everywhere. So let's think outside the box, because you don't know what scenario you'll be given. So it's very good to think outside the box, and remember that whatever we are learning this applies in every situation of occupation, right? Another consideration is use of what? Safety colors and signs. So we need to know what they mean. For example, we say red indicates danger, okay, or stop, or warning. Then we're saying orange indicates caution, or even warning. Yellow will indicate caution, and or maybe warning. So we need to know these safety signs. All right, green will indicate safety or exit. Blue will indicate information or instruction. So meaning that if you're giving out instruction, the most used color, it's blue. All right, meaning that it's for information purposes. If they use green, it means that they are giving you green light. That's why sometimes even in our day-to-day conversation, you say, you never gave me a green light. All right, Nangu, no, you used to give me a red light, meaning it was danger to say, no, this is forbidden, you can't do this, my friend. You know, so purple, okay, will indicate maybe radiation. So you need to know these colors, guys, all right, and what they mean. Even the writings, you need to know what they mean. Even those other signs, you know, like these signs here, all right, prohibition signs. Okay, okay, what does this sign means? If they've put gloves inside, if there's fire and they've put across, or there's a cigarette they've put across, you need to know mandatory sign. Okay, it indicates that it is mandatory, it's a requirement. So if they've put maybe somewhere, for example, check this, where there's blue and gloves, meaning it is mandatory that you need to put in gloves, my friend, when you're going there. All right, so if it was air net inside there, it will be that color, to say it's a must that you should put in air net where you're going. All right, so these are just some of the signs and some of the classes, so you can look at them at your own time. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's because I can't run you in more details about this. Okay, any question now? So these were considerations on how to prevent accidents, what, I mean, classification of accidents, what causes accidents. We are done. Any consideration? Oh, any question? It don't make sense. So yeah, any considerations or any any submission? Miss Marian, maybe we can hear from you. Any contribution? Madam Tasha, Miss Mucheva. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Mayaba, I was yeah, Mr. Oh, it's Miss. Oh, sorry. Then okay. Right then, we go back to now. Steps acting is what we need. That will be ending today. So, pay particular attention. I'll try as much as possible. So, incident reporting. So this is what we will do. So the first thing should be incident reporting in accident investigation. So the first thing is report an accident. Okay, report an incident. It could be accidents, it could be any type of an accident, and the responsibility is with those people that are working there. Employees. Okay, they should um, report any type of incident, including what we call near misses. They should report whatever. So that is the first thing. So they should report, okay, immediately to supervisors or any personnel. And when you talk about any personnel, maybe this time could be you. They can come to your office, or they can report it to the supervisor, or maybe to someone who they look up to, so that they can also report it to relevant stakeholders or bodies in the company. Could be some of these companies, they don't even have that department. So when you report to the supervisor, they will also report to other bodies. Remember, here in Zambia, we've got a board that looks at accidents in a workplace, and it says that every accident should be recorded or reported and recorded, all right, for future references, so that in case such kind occurs, um, responses are given. Then number two is when that accident has been reported, step two, it is to do what we call emergency response. Remember, we talked about an emergency response plan. You remember that? To say it's a component, or it's very important to develop, especially on your practical skills. The first yeah, we talked about the emergency response plan. Okay, so if you've got an emergency response plan, you're going to use that. But if you don't have it, but still there's what we call emergency response. So this is where you will provide first aid. This is where you provide first aid, you secure the area, and you prevent further damage by any necessary means that you can during the occurrence of that accident. Okay, then now you need to do now to start now the investigation itself. How do you do that? You gather evidence, interviews, witnesses that were there. You like talk to them, you gather information, you document whatever they tell you, so that you can do what we call root cause. Then that will take us to root cause analysis. When you are investigating or finding out to say what causes it. Was it because they were drunk, they were not focusing? Was it because of the vibration? Was it because of the fairing machine? okay, or what made this machine to explode, okay, high temperatures, etc., etc. We're going to find out all those during investigation or interviewing. Then now we are going to do a root analysis, okay. So here we are identifying the underlying factor, okay, such as equipment failure, uh, human error, or maybe any other procedure that was not properly followed, okay. So when you have those kind of I mean, when you've done this, the third step, then you go to the fourth, which is analysis, root cause analysis. Then the fifth step is what we call corrective action. So here now we are going to implement measures, okay, so that you can address the root cause. And this will include the policy changes, training, equipment repair, repairing, okay, in case of in case the accident was caused as a result of failure in the equipment, or if it was caused as because of workers did not know the right procedure, you provide training, okay, you educate them, okay, so that you can put in those correct actions, so that next time we don't have that. Then reporting, you have to document anything that you've done there. So the incidents should be documented, the investigations and all the corrective action that you've put, you should put them in a formal report, and you should open a file for that. Then you do a follow-up. So a follow-up, you do just what we call you monitor the effectiveness, the effectiveness of corrective actions that you yourself you've come up with, and probably update them. Could be the time that you are doing that, you are doing it so that things can go back to normal as quick as possible. Now that you are seated in your office, free of mind, having that cup of coffee for you, you need, or maybe you can think about other updated procedures. So when you do a follow-up, you can upgrade that, or you can update. Then review and analysis. So it is this should be done in interval, maybe every 1 week, or every, I don't know how many months, but such kind of things are meant to be done on a shorter period of time. Maybe let's say every 1 week, or every 2 weeks, or a 1 month could be okay to do the review of incident report, to identify the trends and areas of improvement, okay, so that it doesn't have to repeat itself again and again. So that is just what entails of accident reporting. So that is how you carry out the accident reporting. Yeah. So the practical application of accident prevention. So this will just, so the reason it is for machinery safety, electrical safety, pressure safety, fire safety, construction safety, handling and safe storage of explosion, major hazards and accident control. So this is the application of accident prevention. So when you do accident prevention, this is what we want to do. Any questions? All right, so tomorrow we are meeting. Yeah, so we started on Tuesday, like I said. So tomorrow we are meeting. So we'll look at occupational diseases, risk management, and consideration for setting up any type of a workplace, of which I've talked about all these considerations here. So tomorrow it will be just like more of a review, because I think but by this time around, any question that can be asked on occupational health we can answer. Of course, with you doing some more readings on yourself, especially if you want to know the measurements, right? Then we look at these legal laws: Occupational Health and Safety Act, Occupational Safety Health Administration, and ISO as then probably we can answer to my question which follows, which summarizes this presentation. Thank you so much. Right, if there is no question